Welcome to the Depth Dive. Today, we're digging into a really interesting report. It's a 2025 look at the global market for intelligent assistants, the ones embedded in our phones, speakers, all sorts of devices.
Right. Think Siri, Alexa, Google Assistant.
Yeah,
They're becoming pretty common.
exactly. And this report is packed with data. Our mission today is to sort of unpack that and figure out, okay, what are the key things you need to know about this market right now? Where is it headed?
Yeah, let's kick things off with the big number,
Yeah.
the global market size. For 2025, it's estimated at USD 920.0 million. So a pretty substantial base already.
920 million. Okay, almost $1 billion. That's significant. And I'm guessing it doesn't stop there. The report suggests growth, right?
Oh, definitely. It's projected to grow to USD at 318.38 million by 2033.
Wow. Okay.
Which works out to a compound annual growth rate, the CAGR, of 4.60% over that period from 2025 to 2033. So steady growth.
4.6%. That's solid, consistent growth. Not exactly explosive, but definitely moving upwards. What's really driving this? Is it just more phones?
Oh, that's a big part of it, yeah. The report points to increasing smartphone penetration globally. More phones mean more places for these assistants to live, basically.
That sucks.
But it's also about the tech itself. The AI behind these voice assistants is getting, much better. They understand us more naturally. They can do more things. That makes them more attractive.
Right. The better they work, the more likely we are to actually use them. Okay, so that's the global picture. But this is a global market. How does it break down region by region? Who's leading the pack?
Right now, North America is out front. They hold the largest share, actually over 40% of the market.
Over 40. Okay.
Their market size for 2025 is pegged at USD 340.40 million. And they're growing too, though maybe a bit slower than the global average. A CAGR of 3.4% through 2033.
So, the current leader, what's giving them that edge? Just early adoption.
Pretty much. Strong technology adoption is key, especially in the U.S. The U.S. market alone is USD 268.58 million in 2025, growing at 3.2%.
Okay.
Canada is also strong, USD 40.85 million in 2025, but with a slightly faster growth rate, 4.2% CAGR. The report links that to demand for smart home automation, controlling lights, heating, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that smart home angle seems important. And Mexico?
Mexico's in there too, USD 30.98 million market size, growing at 3.9%. So North America as a whole is definitely the heavyweight champion right now.
Okay. So after North America, where does Europe fit in? They were also mentioned as a major player.
They are. Europe pulls a significant chunk too, over 30% of the global market. That translates to about USD 266.80 million in 2025.
And their growth rate, similar to North America.
Exactly the same, actually. Projected TGR of 3.4% between 2025 and 2033. And the drivers are pretty similar too. Smart home adoption is big, plus integrating AI solutions more broadly.
Any specific European countries standing out?
Germany's a big one. USD 52.83 million in 2025, growing at 3.6%. Again, demand for smart automation and AI is high there.
Okay.
The UK is also quite strong, USD 44.82 million, and growing a bit faster at 4.2% CAGR.
Yeah.
They seem to be really embracing smart tech.
Interesting.
Then you've got Russia, France, Italy, Spain, all contributing sizable amounts, though their growth rates are a little more moderate, mostly in the 2 to 3% range.
Right.
But it's not just the big economies. The report also calls out decent growth in places like Sweden, Denmark, Switzerland, even Luxembourg, often in the 3 to 4% CAG range.
So it's quite widespread across Europe, even if the growth isn't quite as fast as, say, the global average. Now, you mentioned APAC earlier, Asia Pacific. The report seemed quite bullish on that region.
Absolutely. APAC is, well, it's where the really dynamic growth is happening. In 2025, their market share is around 23%, which is about USD 220.80 million.
Okay, so smaller than North America or Europe now.
Correct. But their projected growth rate is much higher. The CAGR for APAC from 2025 to 2033 is estimated at 7.3%.
7.3. Wow, that's significantly faster. What's fueling that kind of growth in Asia Pacific?
A couple of key things mentioned are increasing urbanization.
Yeah.
More people moving to cities and rising disposable incomes. People just have more money to spend on these kinds of devices.
No, and maybe a faster uptake of new tech in general in some of those economies.
That too. Plus, there's a huge population base, obviously. Within APAC, China is the giant. USD 92.74 million market in 2025, growing at 6.8%. Strong push for AI adoption there.
Okay.
Japan and South Korea are also major markets, growing steadily around 6%. But the real standout in terms of rate of growth is India.
India, what's their number?
Their 2025 market size is smaller, about USD 22.08 million, but their projected CAGR is a massive 9.2%.
9.2, that's huge. Mostly smart home driven there, too.
That seems to be a key factor, yes. Rapid smart home adoption. Australia, Taiwan, Singapore, Southeast Asia, they're all showing strong growth too, often in the 6 to 8% range. Singapore actually has the highest CAGR in APAC at 7.6%, even though it's a smaller market overall.
So the takeaway seems to be North America and Europe lead now, but keep a very close eye on APAC, especially China and India, for future growth. What about the other regions the report covers? South America, Middle East, Africa?
Yeah, they're smaller pieces of the pie currently, but still showing growth.
Yeah.
South America is over 5% market share, about USD 34.96 million in 2025, growing at 4.9% CAGR. Brazil's the dominant player there.
Okay.
The Middle East is around 2% share, USD 36.80 million, but growing slightly faster at 5.1% CAGR. Think smart city projects, especially in places like Saudi Arabia and the UAE, driving demand.
Right, those big infrastructure pushes.
Exactly. And Africa is the smallest, around 1% share, USD 20.24 million, growing at 4.3%. But that's still significant growth, often linked to rising smartphone adoption, particularly in South Africa and Nigeria.
It really paints a picture of the technology spreading globally, but at different speeds depending on local factors. Okay, let's shift gears slightly. The report also talks about what kind of devices these assistants are in. Where are they most common?
Unsurprisingly, mobile devices, mainly smartphones, hold the biggest share right now. That's where most of us first encountered these assistants, right? Siri, Google Assistant.
Yeah, absolutely. On our phones.
And the demand for hands-free help, personalized info, it just keeps growing. So phones are, well, the natural home for them.
But it's not just phones anymore, is it? The report mentioned another area growing very quickly.
That's right. Household devices are flagged as the fastest growing segment.
So smart speakers, thermostats, that sort of thing.
Exactly. Smart speakers, smart displays, but also increasingly in appliances, refrigerators that tell you when you're out of milk, thermostats you can talk to, smart lighting. Consumers seem to really want that integrated smart home experience.
Yeah, the convenience factor is pretty appealing. Talk to your house, essentially.
Kind of. And it's not just convenience. Sometimes there's an energy efficiency angle, too. So that whole household segment is really taking off.
Are there other device categories mentioned?
Yep. Personal computers and home video entertainment devices. Think smart TVs, streaming boxes. They're integrating assistants, too. Maybe not as big a share as mobile or household right now, but definitely part of the trend.
Okay, so they're popping up everywhere. Let's talk about the underlying forces. What are the big market drivers pushing this forward? We touched on AI improvement.
Yeah, that's huge. The tech, getting better speech recognition, understanding natural language makes them fundamentally more useful. That's a core driver.
Right.
We already mentioned the spread of mobile devices. Another one is using voice assistants in entertainment systems. Easier to find shows, control playback, that kind of thing.
Yeah, less fiddling with remotes. Okay, so those are the boosters. What about the brakes? What's holding the market back, or are there any restraints mentioned?
There are a couple. One big one is accuracy. While the tech is better, it's still not perfect at understanding every accent, every language, especially in noisy environments. That can be frustrating for users.
Sure, if it doesn't understand you, you're not going to use it.
Exactly. And the other point is competition from, well, dumb devices. Not everyone feels they need an intelligent assistant in their TV or their fridge. Some people are perfectly happy with traditional electronics.
So the value proposition isn't universal yet, and the tech still has some kinks to iron out. What about looking ahead? Any emerging trends highlighted? Where is this tech likely to go next?
Two interesting areas pop out. First, cars. Integrating voice assistants for hands-free control of maps, music, calls. That's becoming much more common and sophisticated.
Yeah, that seems like a natural fit for safety and convenience while driving.
Definitely. The second one is healthcare and wellness. Using AI assistants for things like medication reminders and maybe accessing basic health information or even companionship for the elderly. That's an area with a lot of potential being explored.
That healthcare angle is fascinating, could really change things for accessibility. Okay, finally, the competitive side. Who are the big companies battling it out in this space? It sounds like the usual tech giants.
It is largely dominated by them, yeah.
Yeah.
The report names Microsoft, Samsung, Google, Apple, Lenovo, LG, HP, Intel, ARM, Amazon. The big players with deep pockets for AI research and development.
The household names of tech, are there any specific recent examples of what these companies or others are doing? Any new developments?
Yeah, the report gives a couple of recent examples. MasterCard launched a generative AI assistant back in October 2024, focused on helping customers during onboarding, so moving into more business process applications too.
Interesting, not just consumer devices.
Right. And then NICE, which is more focused on smart homes, launched its own native voice assistant called Milo. It actually won an award at CES in January 2025. That shows there's still room for specialized players, especially in that fast-growing household segment.
So a mix of the giants expanding their reach and newer players carving out niches. Okay, this has been really comprehensive. Let's try and sort of boil it down. What are the main takeaways from this 2025 report?
I think the big picture is this market for intelligent assistants in devices is healthy and growing steadily. The real growth hotspot to watch is Asia Pacific.
Right, that 7.3% CAGR.
Exactly. While North America and Europe are bigger today, APAC is closing the gap fast. Within devices, keep an eye on household gadgets. That's the fastest growing area as smart homes become more common.
And underlying all of it is better AI, making these assistants more useful, more integrated into everything from our phones to our fridges.
Precisely. It's becoming more seamless.
Okay, so that's the state of play according to this report, a technology becoming increasingly woven into our daily lives. So here's something to think about as we wrap up. As these intelligent assistants get embedded in more and more everyday objects, how might that fundamentally change how we interact not just with tech, but with the physical world around us? What new possibilities or maybe even challenges could pop up when seemingly everything can listen and respond? Definitely food for thought. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.